Good morning, folks. I didn't even know the winter misery index was a thing, but apparently it is, and this winter is very miserable, especially if you're a global warming scientist. Something on which I've spoken many times, including over an hour on the topic on our website Audio Discussions. Climate extremes poses a major existential risk when vegetation gets spring signals a few weeks early from the hotter extremes, but die when late season frost sweeps in to finish the extreme shifting puzzle of a back and forth climate. $40 for this article. I'd recommend just the macro takeaway. Quick update to the tropics watch here. Other than that, the top story is a continuation. Yesterday, I showed you the stratospheric south shift, which people love calling the polar vortex. We've known this was coming for about a week or so here on this channel, and today should be the worst of it, although not as bad as the last round. Let's check in on California's potential drought abatement. The system needs to shift further south, may yet do it. Right now we're a bit north of the worst drought zones. Europe watched two convergence lines in a row be less damaging than the ones just a month ago. Pulling back for a macro view once more shows the top northern storm to be in the Atlantic eyeing an eastward run. Now let's go to the South Atlantic. The South Polar storms are almost always the strongest on Earth, which is why the Euro cells are qualified as being the strongest only in the north. Their convergences push to the equator just like those long-drawing storms across the U.S., and when these get stronger in the climate extreme situation, South Africa may find itself in a different world. These are often the cause for the weather we report in Australia and New Zealand as well. Such is the case today, as this convergence stretches all the way to the northern deluge. Quick look at some of the other storm zone potential from WOW. It's a terrific site and resource. Here we see elevated but leveling off radiation levels at the polar region. Solar flaring has not yet given it a reason to jump higher. A quiet day on the sun after the big blast. The quiet is unlikely to stay, however. Notice the spots all over the place. Remember when we had one reverse polarity sunspot and a few experts claimed the solar pole reversal was complete? Well, next cycle is also marked by high latitude spots. We're starting to get them in addition to the equatorial ones ending last cycle. We still see sunspots struggling to complete the flip though. Even with the day of calm, these should give us some more pops this week. Coming back to that complete versus incomplete polar reversal. In addition to still having equatorial sunspots, a sign of the last cycle, the solar poles are not showing a completed flip yet. You'll remember our chart here, and I've actually got to add one more data point to it, but it doesn't actually change the fact that blue has to end up on the top of the baseline this next cycle, and it is not, and red is on the right side, but heading back up towards the baseline. Nobody on the planet can tell you if this will be the final moments of this cycle or not. Just know that the reversal is not yet complete. Solar wind is very calm at the moment, along with the geomagnetics, but that will likely change over the coming days. Solar demon here, showing the lateral effects of the X-flare and the corona as opposed to the CME racing away from the sun. Bigger blasts tend to create those waves through the atmosphere, and bigger, broader CMEs. We're detecting a halo erupting from that burst. That means that while the CME is not going to be any harm, not coming right at Earth, the side of the blast may clip us, but we may barely notice. Remember that a coronal hole stream is on its way as well, likely stronger than the edge of that X-flare CME, and they will both mix with a smaller coronal mass ejection from an M-flare the day before the X. This event will not be of any geomagnetic or electrical concern. We are indeed approaching the influence of the next coronal hole. It's coming between strong coronal fields. Keep it in mind. Seismic updates saw no big tremors over 24 hours, including at the foreshock warning zone from the day before, Carlsberg Ridge in the Arabian Sea. Last but not least, Chapter 4 of Agenda 21 Counterstrike was posted yesterday. Next month is the Electric Universe Conference, and I'll be doing all I can to make you proud there. Of course, that one everyone will get to see. Current conditions and shots of our star to close. Eyes open. No fear at 6:35 a.m. Eastern Time, and that's the news. Be safe, everyone.